And welcome to our professional development. This is a space that we're trying to put together to bring some material that is really relevant about building our skills, improving in our professional and personal side. And today we wanted to address a really critical and important matter such as payroll and benefits. Before going inside into our agenda, I want to actually remind everyone that we're going to be recording this session. And also, I'm going to ask everyone to please change your name. You can please change your name in the Zoom so we can have the proper attendance for today. As you all know, this time is going to be compensated. So, but we also need to know who was here. So if you please go and make that change right now. If you have if you're sharing the computer with your husband or something, or with your significant, please try to type your name. If you have your nickname, that's really nice, but we really need that in a formal way. So we really appreciate that. So today, how we're gonna make it, this is gonna be really digging into it. We're gonna start from general to particular. We're gonna have first, we're gonna have Lisa Davis, who is actually the executive assistant to the vice president here at FIDM. After that, she's gonna be talking about payroll in general. Then we're gonna be talking a little bit more about benefits, who is gonna be a topic that Cecil is gonna help us to understand much better. And then later, Barbara Bondi is gonna clarify some specific matters regarding payroll and benefits. After this, we're gonna have Mona, who is actually an instructor here at FIDM and is also a faculty council member and the chair of faculty welfare. And after we have all this full agenda, we're actually gonna start digging into Q&A. So all of you are gonna have that time and the space to ask specific questions. As you know, we have a previous survey that it was done. It was actually sent to all of you. So if you didn't have the chance to fill it out, I'm gonna be linking it in our chat. And if you have any questions that you don't wanna say it publicly, you can actually also type it in the chat room so we can actually at the end consider your question. So then I'm not, do you need me, Lisa, to share? Because you at this point, you actually can share your screen if you want to.
Yes, I have a great computer at home. Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. Absolutely. So I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna share my screen.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna start from here.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I want to just thank the Faculty Council. Thank you, Isabel, for coming and starting the conversation with me. And I hope that today is really helpful. And if by chance any of your questions are not fully answered, please come and see me. Please make an appointment. I want to make sure that everybody, and if you happen to talk to a faculty member that couldn't be here today and they have questions, please encourage them to come see me. I don't want anybody to not understand their pay or not understand their compensation. So on that note, let's go on to the next slide. Can you advance to the next? Okay, thank you. Okay, so, oops, we went, maybe I did it and we did, okay. The payroll calculation. So I wanted to show you every faculty member has access to this through their department chair. And I wanted to kind of go through each line so you would be able to understand what the different categories are. So obviously the first line talks about what kind of agreement you have. So it should be reflective of the number of classes that you teach. So if for any reason, like maybe you have a 6-hour class, but your agreement says QA, there could be an error. So you do want to be able to review it, make sure that on your agreement, you have the right agreement code. So that way that would reflect your pay, and there could be an error in your pay if we don't have the information correct. On the second line, it tells you when the quarter begins and when the quarter ends. On the next line, it's the standard number of hours per week. And as you know, regardless if it takes you 3 hours or it takes you 7 hours, the standard hours per class is 8 hours. And so that's how that standard hours per week is calculated. We go by, you know, the way that the government does it, it's 2 times the number of hours for your in-class time. And then we have the number of pay periods. This is the number that trips most faculty up. They don't understand. They go, how come I made less money in this quarter than I'm making in the next quarter? And it typically is because maybe that previous quarter you had 6 pay periods and now you have 7. So that will fluctuate because it, you know, stretches out your pay for the quarter, even though you're making the same amount by the class rate. So the class rate would be the next line that you would want to make sure is accurate. The next line would be if you are eligible for a longevity benefit, and we'll tell you about how someone becomes eligible. But if you had 5%, it would say it on that line, and then it would say what quarter you received that longevity in. And then it adds all of those things together in order to get the adjusted class rate. So it takes 10.6 weeks that we have class, we have the number of classes, and then that rate, and we add those or calculate those together in order to get your compensation for classes as a total. From there, we're going to divide it by the number of pay periods, and then you're going to get your pay, bi-weekly pay is on your sheet. So again, anybody can get this sheet from their chairperson. I encourage you, if you've not seen it, to ask them for it with your agreement. And I think it will help clarify questions that you have regarding your pay. We can go to the next slide. Your timesheet. Okay, so one of the most important ways to have your paycheck be correct is to have your timesheet be accurate. So if you ever have questions about your paycheck, we ask that you start with your department chair or your supervisor. That way we can look to see maybe a meeting was missed or something was not added in your paycheck. It's a good place to start. If everything is correct within the department and your supervisor, then it might be something with payroll. It might be something with a tax or something that you weren't aware of that you needed to change. So that next level would be to contact somebody in payroll. And I've given those extensions and those emails to get answered any of those questions that you may have. Next slide. Okay, some tips and tricks that we find in the department, and I ask the administrative assistants because they are on the front line with your timesheets. So just a reminder, like timesheets are due tomorrow. So we want to be sure, like if you came to this meeting, you would want to put in the meeting code. Be sure to use that meeting code, and we're going to go through some of those codes in just a minute, but be sure to put that on your timesheet. It's real important that not to maybe wait till Saturday morning to do it, because if you do it today and there's a problem, you would be able to contact your administrative assistant and say, hey, I need some help, or I'm having trouble getting in, or what it could be. So I would say don't wait until the last minute. Be sure that you communicate whenever you're sick with your administrative assistant. If you had a sub, who that substitute was. That's very, very important, because then we want to make sure that that person gets that entered into their paycheck as well, for the accounting of that. It would be super helpful if you are subbing a class, under the notes to put the class and the instructor that you were subbing for. That way, in case somehow it wasn't communicated to Susie, it would be in the notes, and it would really help streamline the time sheet approval process. Curriculum development hours, super important that if you are asked to do any curriculum development with your department chair, be sure that you have them give you a curriculum development agreement. That way, there will be no delay of you being paid for those curriculum development hours, because the number one question is going to be, was it approved by your department chair and Barbara? So just to alleviate any of that delay, super important that make sure that that agreement is signed first. Labs. If you do any sort of labs for fashion design or for interior design or anywhere where you have students come into a studio, be sure that you have the studio sheets, the roll sheets, that you turn those in by, like today would be great because it's the end of the payroll. That's needed in order to be compensated for any lapse. Faculty council, there's a certain code that you would want to use for council meetings. If you're on a subcommittee, be sure that you use the instructor department meeting training code for that. Next slide.
Sorry, but it's taking longer to pass it. I'm like pressing and then.
No problem.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so the most common mistake that's made on timesheets is that AM PM. So sometimes you might see, oh my gosh, I have 24 hours of overtime. And it's just typically because of the AM PM. So I would just maybe take a close look at those before you push save or you push, approve, that you check that. And these are all of the pay codes. We used to call them transfer codes, but what they are is a pay code. And so we have many different pay codes. And so if by chance you're doing something for the marketing department, we have a different code. So if you're ever in question of a project that you're working on and which code you should use, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to your department chair or your administrative assistant. And but I wanted you to know we also have this on under faculty resources on the faculty channel under policies. And if you look at payroll, we have on there the payroll dates, we have the pay codes, we have a lot of different resources in there. So if you ever have questions, you could go to that resource. And now we're going to talk about benefits.
Is Cecile right now is going to talk?
I'm going to cover this sheet, and then if we have any other, she can chime in if I've missed anything on this next page.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so longevity. How does somebody become eligible for longevity? So when an instructor first starts at FITM, if they teach 4 consecutive quarters, then at the 5th quarter, at the beginning of it, that 5% will be added to their class rate, right? So they will be in that total that we looked at on that first sheet. And each instructor can have 1 quarter absent per year. So if somebody has more than 1 quarter absent, then they would lose that longevity. They need to work 4 consecutive quarters again in order to get that longevity added back in to their pay. If somebody has received the 5%, it would be 5 years from the time in which they first qualified for that longevity. It's not 5 years of employment, because you might have worked for FITM and maybe you worked 1 quarter and maybe you only worked once a year and you did that for 4 years. And then all of a sudden you were available to teach consistently. So it would be at the time of which you started the longevity that we would add the 5 years. And that's why we put that date on that sheet. So you could look at your sheet and say, oh, okay, a lot of people in 2021 received the 7.5 because it had been 5 years from the inception of the longevity benefit. And then it would be 5 more years, and then you would become 10%. Some of our faculty are at 10% currently because we move them in from the previous agreement period where they were paid for both breaks. And so they were grandfathered in at that 10%. So there's not another level that they can go to. They're at the max.
Lisa?
Yes.
Lisa? Okay, so on longevity benefits, Ariana had a great question. What about maternity leave? Is that your 1 quarter or is that handled separately?
So traditionally, it's 1 quarter for the year. So depending on how long, most instructors I haven't had be out for multiple quarters
Okay.
when it has to do with maternity leave.
How about family medical leave? Same?
So family medical leave, you have to qualify for that. And so the qualification is working a certain number of hours in a year.
Okay.
So it would be more of a full-time instructor. So at that point, we would look at that, you know, and address it from qualifying for the FMLA.
Can
And
I
then
ask for
Lisa-
more can I ask for more
go,
clarification on
Ariana.
that question? Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm still not clear. So like, let's say I had to take off for maternity leave or some other personal issue, and I had to be gone for 1 quarter. Does that mean that when I get back, I lose 10% of my pay because I don't get my 10% longevity?
You can be out 1 quarter a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Lisa, thank you for taking this question. Now we can continue.
Of course.
Thank
of
you.
course, I want to be sure that people feel confident about how we're doing things and that it's fair. That's really, I guess I see that as, I've always seen that as my role, is to really be the faculty advocate, to be there to help, you know, protect and make sure that people are paid for the things that they do. So I really take that to heart. Sick pay. So one thing that's really important, a lot of people might say, well, why do I need to put in my time on my timesheet? Because I'm still going to get paid my paycheck. Well, the way that you accrue sick pay is by entering in your actual hours worked. So every time you put in those 5 hours or 3 hours or whatever, even when you have labs, you have studios, any of those, that time that you enter, you accrue 1 hour of sick pay for every 30 hours. And so it keeps accruing on your, you know, on your sheet. So if you ever have a question of how many sick hours do I have, you can, I'm happy to answer that question for you. And there's a maximum of 72 in the beginning of the year. So if you don't use any of your sick throughout the year, and at the end of the year, you will only have 72 hours. You can't go above that, right? So there's a cap on it. Yeah, so that sick leave is important too. So if you are going to have a baby, or you're going to be out, or you have a surgery, that sick time, we would want to apply all that sick time so that you might even have a whole quarter's worth of time that we could put in and you would be covered, you know. So that sick time is important to be entering in your hours. 401k, very exciting. So we are all eligible if we are 21 years of age or older, and we've been at the college for at least 30 days. And I'll have Cecile talk about the open enrollment, because I know that's coming up. And so if you want to jump in, you want to change your contribution or anything like that, I know this is the time of the year we do that. Medical and dental benefits. So how this works is they're looking at last year from January 3rd through January 2nd of this year. They look back and see how many hours have you worked. And if you made the qualification of 1,560 hours, you will be sent something that says you qualify. Here is the paperwork. You need to, maybe you've already been in it, and we want you to make any changes in your healthcare. So it's super important that you just not do that, you act. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to keep everything the same. You need to then go into your UltiPro, and I'm going to have Cecile talk about that, because this isn't my area, but it is important for people to act. Cecile, do you want to talk about that?
Lisa, can you help everyone put 1,560 hours in context of about how many classes a year that is?
It's 4 classes a quarter.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So now we're going to have Cecile. She's going to talk a little bit more about benefits and address more in depth what it's all about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to this forum. Yeah, I do have something that I want to share. I guess I could just share my
You can
screen
share.
now.
You can start sharing. Let me actually go on
Okay.
stop sharing, and then you can go for it.
Okay, let me just go to my,
Yep.
okay, let's see. I just want to touch base on the 401k. This one, it's pretty much, the open enrollment for this is every beginning of the year. So as Lisa said that everyone is qualified as long as you've been, you're 21 years of age and at least been with FIDM for 1 month of service. All you have to do is go to the John Hancock website, and here's the website, jhgoenroll.com, and here's our contract number. And basically, the enrollment is every beginning of the month. So for enrollments, you could, like right now for March, you could do that, or April. You can stop at any time. That you can stop or decrease any time, but to increase or to enroll is every beginning of the month, the first payroll of the month. And then this is the limit for 2022. We have 20,500. And if there's a catch-up contribution for those who are over age 50, you could do an additional 6,500. So the limit for you would be 27,000. And if you have any questions about financial planning and guidance, we also have our financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. You can contact Justin or Marcus. And this is a full employee contribution, so it's non-matching. And you could do in-service withdrawals at the termination of employment or retirement, or if there's any disability or death. You can contact me, email me if you want to do withdrawals. Basically, in-service means that you are still employed, you're still actively working, but you've reached the age of 59 and a half, and you want to take some money out of your 401k. That's called in-service. So you just email me and make the request, and we will have our plan administrator email you the forms that you need to complete to do your in-service withdrawal. Any questions on the 401k?
I think we can take those later, because I know at this point, Barbara wants to talk a little bit more and elaborate more. So Barbara, are you ready?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Cecile. Then you can stop sharing.
Sorry about that. I don't have any screen shares. I just have words. So, and if you'll all do me a favor and hold your questions till the end. And Lisa and Cecile, thank you so much for your explanations. And please, as Lisa said, if you do have any questions, see your administrative assistant or talk directly to Lisa. I know sometimes this is complicated, but we want to make it as easy and simple for you as we possibly can. The one thing we can't change are the amount of pay periods in the year. Since we pay every other week, 52 weeks divided by 2 is 26 pay periods, and that doesn't move into our quarters at all. So that's, I think, probably the greatest area of confusion for everyone, but we're here to hopefully dispel any myths that you have. I want to kind of approach things from a slightly different angle. I want to do a little bit of a walk down memory lane, and many of you have been with us for many years, and I can't say how grateful all of us from the Board of Administration right down through everybody else are for all of the service that you have done, for all of the wonderful inspiration you have given to students. We on staff know that it's all of you that the students go home and talk about, and you're the ones who are making them successful in the industry. So we're your backup to help you and make your lives a little bit easier. Unfortunately, we've been in an enrollment slide for many, many years. I know you all keep abreast of what's going on. I don't need to tell you there are fewer students graduating from high school. fewer students going on to college. Many of them are going right into the labor market. Many of them are incredible entrepreneurs, and they're just starting their own businesses, and some of them are being incredibly successful. Others are taking a slightly different direction. I want to turn back the clock, first of all, to winter 2008. And the quarters I'm using as examples are winter, since we're in winter now. Hard to believe, in winter of 2008, we have 5,813 students. We had 4 campuses. We had 4,251 students in LA, 843 in San Francisco, 463 in Orange County, and 250 in San Diego. And we were on a real growth spurt. Well, all of a sudden, unfortunately, that kind of hit the wall. Moving forward 6 years to winter 2014, we had 4,154 students. We were really starting to see a slide in enrollment, particularly on the 3 branch campuses. What we were also finding at that particular point in time is that the students didn't need that campus that was close to home to start with. They wanted a bigger experience. And since we were doing more in the area of bachelor's programs, they wanted to be where the action was and where all the programs were being offered. Unfortunately, our slide continued. In winter of 2017, we were down another 30% of students to 2,905. Now, meanwhile, what we were surviving on is we had a lot of retained earnings, which was great, which allowed us to continue that and to try some different ways to build enrollment and to respond to what was going on. Well, I don't think any of us anticipated COVID in 2020. I know it was not in my crystal ball, and caused us all kinds of issues. Needless to say, in winter of 2020, we started the quarter with 2,216 students. March 13th came. I know you were all ready to give finals, final presentations, receive final projects, and we closed. And thank you to all of you who were with us at that point in time, who made it work for the students, and for jumping in at that particular point in time, helping us change the calendar to prepare you to go remote and to offer modalities in education that we had never offered before. You all rose to the occasion, and I always give a special shout out to our e-learning team who helped make this all happen. They've all been incredible. You've been incredible of everything you have done. From March 13th to the start of the spring quarter, which obviously we'd pushed back a couple of weeks, we lost 500 students. They decided they didn't want to go to class on Zoom. They wanted to be in person. Some of them said they were going to take a quarter off. Some of them have come back. Some of them, I don't know if we will ever see again, but we are truly keeping on top of them. Our student advisement department reaches out to them at all points in time. Our marketing department, we reach out to them with the different events that are going on, and slowly but slowly, some are coming back. Others, I'm sure, have gotten jobs or life has taken them in a different direction. Well, the retained earnings were slipping away very quickly. So what we did was we sold the parking lot that we never developed, which was on the corner of Olympic and Flower. And that helped get us through 2020. We also found that we had 13 students enrolled on the San Diego campus to start, since we had moved to a complete e-learning and remote environment. It was very easy to move those students over and to close that campus. What you really need to know, and we don't want to burden you with everything, but want you to know what's going on, is our wonderful landlords down there have not given us a break. We are still paying rent on the San Diego campus. We've had attorneys, we've had everybody try and fight it for us. We come up blank. We're still trying to negotiate with them. That rent continues through 2024. So San Diego was closed. Within the period of about 6 weeks, we reduced our staff by 33%. Now, that was 33% less people. A lot of people continued to work from home. Most of the education staff did come back. But with 33% less people, that didn't negate the jobs that those people did. So very grateful to our staff for stepping up to the plate. And we've got a lot of staff that are doing 2 and 3 jobs, and that's precipitated a lot of the title changes, a lot of the changes in job descriptions, and most of it without one more dollar. So you've got people doing 2 and 3 jobs out of the goodness of their heart and have really risen to the occasion. Also in 2020, it looked like the enrollment was really turning around, but what happened was we lost 500 enrollments during that period of 2020. Families and justifiably saying, why should we send our children to Los Angeles to live in an apartment to go to Zoom school? So they postponed their enrollments. And again, some have come to us since then, others have not. Winter 2021, we had 1,749 students. That was not enough to sustain our expenses, which we have cut back tremendously. So the alternative we had, and again, we had no students attending in Orange County. The students from that area who wanted to come back to Los Angeles. So we closed Orange County and we sold the property. That got us through 2021. We are now in winter 2022 with 1,571 students on campus, which is a 10% decrease. We have nothing left to sell this year. We are hoping to get the enrollment up to 2,150 students. That is our magic number. We continue to look at expenses. We are not doing anything that we don't have to do. We have cut back on conferences. We've cut back on a lot of different things in order to make the expenses work. Our wonderful team under Tess in the finance area has done everything they can. We have looked at programs, as you all know, and eliminated many of them. And we looked at everything strictly from a dollars and cents standpoint. It's hard when you're emotionally involved in so many of the wonderful programs that were small and special, but when they're not able to meet their expenses, we had to put them on hiatus. And those are the jewelry design program, the footwear design program, the entertainment and set design, theater costume, textiles, and knitwear. We are in hopes that we will be able to revive those programs in the future, but currently we are not able to offer them. Change in faculty. In March of 2020, we had 318 faculty members. This quarter, we have 253 faculty members, which is a decrease of 21%. It's a tough number to use as you would like a staff number, because it's not really about bodies, it's about the numbers of sections. We've combined classes across many different majors, and I know that's involved a lot of you, where we were doing separate classes in marketing. We now have a very strong marketing class that is taken by a number of different majors. And this is incredibly important for the students too. They need to have shared classes with students in other majors. It gives them more of an opportunity to collaborate, not only on projects and in the class and in conversation, but this is what they're going to be doing when they graduate. Interesting number is the average number of classes per instructor for this quarter is 1.7. So obviously nobody teaches a 0.7 class, but That's the way that it breaks down. And realize too that we do have staff that are teaching also. Compensation, I want to talk about that for just a minute. Everyone is paid by the class. And what is difficult, and Lisa, thank you for your explanation. I know I've heard it many, many times. It took me a long time to truly understand it. There are two types of employees in the state of California, exempt and non-exempt. Exempt is determined by a base salary level and managing staff. The base rate for that, Lisa, am I correct, is
62,400.
Okay, thank you. So anyone who is not being paid $62,400 by FITM, and this, it's only us as the employer, regardless of their other industry or professional involvement, is non-exempt. Every non-exempt person is paid by the hour. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's an hourly rate. And the state of California for teaching says 2.5 hours of contact with students necessitates a multiplier of 3 for the hours spent outside the classroom, which equals 8 hours. So that being said, the class rate is divided by 8. Now, I know there are weeks where on a class you will put in 16 hours, and there are weeks where you'll put in 2 hours outside of class. It's not a discussion item. This is just the way the state of California operates, and it's the class construct, and there's nothing we can do about it. We have to live with it. We think it's very unfair, and I know there have been instances where people say they're barely making minimum wage. If you're caught in that instance, if the minimum wage is raised as it is in July, we take care of that. And all positions, whether they're staff or faculty, have pay ranges that are determined by degrees, experience, and industry involvement. What we need to do is we need to build enrollment. And you've heard the marketing presentation and what our marketing strategy is doing. We have a dynamite strategic planning committee that's working very, very hard. And I thank all of you who've participated in those different sessions and have been on committees with them. Our goal for 2022 for enrollment is 2,150 students. Enrollment is starting to look a little bit better. The first thing that happens when we hit that threshold is that there will be faculty increases. I have done, in conjunction with other people on campus, 3 different scenarios, and it's a combination of being based on longevity and on degree. Hopefully, we will be able to do something by fall. You are our first priority, and I want you to know that. 25% of our faculty have been with us since before 2011. You've stuck with us through thick and thin, and we so appreciate all of you for doing that. You're the first on the list, and it goes from there by longevity and by degree into pay bands where you're not fitting into that at this particular point in time. I don't have any more information for you. I think most of you know me well enough to know that I'm not the person who dangles the carrot out there. This is the reality, and I want everybody to be aware of that. And we're working towards it. We're doing everything we can on campus. Yesterday, we did a fair for all current students to talk about going on to explore advanced study programs, to explore going on to bachelor's programs and onto our MBA program. I'm very excited by the fact that once the student starts, they stay. Our retention and our graduation levels are better than they have ever been. Students are electing to go on to Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, and the MBA program. And I think we're just going to get stronger. So that's where I'm coming from, and I'm wide open for questions.
Thank you, Barbara. So for now, I'm gonna hold a little bit because I know Mona wants to address and then have her portion. So then Mona, now you can go have.
Perfect. Barbara, can I just ask you a follow-up there? Just because I only teach at FITM, but I know people teach other places. I do industry in FITM. You're saying that 8 hours, that 2.5, that's all colleges in California?
That are on, if you're a non-exempt employee.
I did not know that. Thank you.
It's not true
A
for
lot
me.
of us didn't know that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Barbara,
go for it,
may
Barbara.
I ask you a question?
So let's hold for a second because I want to ask Mona if she wants to present something.
Sure, I do.
Okay, perfect. So this is the moment. This is the moment, Mona. So then we can, yes, go for it. And then I'm asking everyone to hold questions because Mona is also going to address another topic. And if, again, you still have questions, you can type them. And then we're going to have at the end that space, that moment where you can actually ask your specific question. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, first, I have to thank Lisa and Barbara. And Barbara, I have to tell you, because we've been working together now for what, 6 months on this topic, but known each other for a long time. Thank you for for sharing, for being so transparent and sharing the real numbers of what's going on at the college, because we might all not have known that. So I thank you for that. I really do thank you for that. And it puts in context what we're seeing and helping us greater understand. So Barbara, thank you. The Executive Faculty Council is a group elected by all faculty to represent the faculty. And the Institutional Governance and Faculty Welfare Committee is chaired by myself. I'm also vice president of the council, but it's also a lot of contributors, Gail, Cara, Tom, and Larry, okay? So, we were established in September 21. A lot of things started in 21 at the beginning of WASC probation. And WASC probation isn't anything we wanted, but there was good that came out of WASC probation, everyone. And one of the good is the strategic planning, which efforts that really were supercharged by all of that. The other thing that came out of it was work that we all had to do that WASC tasked all of us to take on. And our committee was established to have shared governance, participation, and transparency for faculty to have a greater voice, role, and responsibility with the governing, the operation, the decision-making, the future, the success of the college. And so we all started in 21, faculty council members, college committees were formed. The Joint Academic Council's been busy now for more than a year. This committee in all areas, and a lot of this was recommended, and it was in the WASC probation report. And to everyone's credit, on the faculty side and on the administration side, we all jumped in and we all started doing a lot of work together, okay? And to be honest, Barbara's transparency right now and telling us all the numbers, that's a sign of how far we've come in working together towards, really getting back to the goals of FITM. Okay. Our mission at the Executive Faculty Council, and specifically faculty welfare, well, the council provide the best education and talent to serve our students. It's that simple for all of us, while creating sustainable, equitable, positive employment for our faculty. And we know that there's been tough times for our faculty, not having gotten a raise, the extra work that came on even pre-COVID in technology, and then brought in with COVID. We've all had it's been challenging. And And again, as Barbara said, boy, we all did our best efforts, whether it was on the staff side or on the faculty side, to make a tremendous success of our COVID remote learning, and that was even noted and noticed and commended by WASC, by the way. Okay, what a great job everyone did at all sides of the college. So the Institutional Governance and Faculty Welfare Committee, our goals. Our goals is to work with administration, looking at our employment benefits and our welfare, which includes everything that's the environment in which we teach, increased responsibilities, teaching modalities, class development, management, instructional design. But it's really to work with, to be partners on the team as we look at our teaching environment. This happens at all universities. It's happening in a bigger way since COVID because of the change in how everyone, everywhere, K through PhD is teaching, okay? So we're part of that bigger shift in everything happening. Another objective goal of the committee is to build consistent, transparent standards for assigning and scheduling of classes. We're looking at college, looking at the college as one. I know some people will say, but my chair does it this way and my chair does it that way. We're looking at building a more consistent, transparent system, not the same for everyone, but more open, and then really learning from best practices of other departments and seeing how we can do the best for everyone across all chairs and departments at FITM. Prioritize recruitment and retention of the best industry and education professionals. We want flexible, attractive employment. What we've learned by reading the news isn't that what everyone wants, right? So whether you're in education or any industry, we're looking for flexible, attractive employment, competitive compensation, benefits, balance. And so that is that's our goal. What I'm going to say here is that, and Barbara set it up, the council can't promise you more classes. The only way to get more classes is more students. That's our reality. But we want to look at what it looks like and to make sure that what we're doing is competitive, fair, consistent, and we want to hear and use best practices against all departments in the college. So what are we up to? An update. Well, today, look at today's great session. Okay. I have to tell you how that weekly, Lisa, thank you. That's been the biggest mystery to everyone. Okay. I work with people on staff who've asked me to explain it to them after this meeting. Okay. We're doing a state of the faculty report. We're going to get data to better understand who the faculty is today, what the compensation is, agreements, scheduling, class modalities. So then when we move forward and we do achieve our goal, which Barbara is how many students? 2150?
2150.
You got it. We're going to make it. We're looking at updating really re-looking at what does the faculty arrangement look like for February 22, and how does it reflect a college of 2150 versus maybe 6,000 students? And how do we do that at the same time that we're still really attracting and keeping the best talent for our students in the college? Climate survey. We're going to be sending you a faculty climate survey. It's to ask, we want to learn from you. What are your challenges, needs, wants, priorities? Every business and every industry is doing it. The restaurant down the street from me is doing it because every business's goal is to get the best talent, the best employees, and to keep them. That's our goal. That's everybody's goal. So, and that's why it's so hard to keep people, because everybody wants the best people. So we're going to be sending it out. Please, we'll give you time. We'll give you notice that it's coming, but tell us what you want. I certainly years ago, and I've been here when we were teaching 6 classes, maybe that's not what I want anymore. I'm gonna balance my life differently. So let's Think about this as what do we want today in 22, not say, well, what did I wish I had? Okay, and everybody's work environment has changed. Lastly, and very exciting, there's an establishment of a faculty welfare and employment steering committee. First and foremost, go to your chair. Have a relationship with your direct supervisor. Absolutely. This does not mean you do not do that, but it is an additional college committee that looks at, on an ongoing basis, issues of faculty welfare and employment. It addresses concerns and opportunities of individuals and departments and changing dynamics of the college. On this committee is, of course, Lisa and Barbara and Kim, chairs and faculty. So as partners, we're going to have an opportunity. And if any faculty feels not comfortable or feeling like something has not been really addressed by their chair, there is now a place for them to go. There is a confidential committee to address issues for those who may not feel it is being addressed properly within their direct line of supervision.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you so much for letting us know about what collaboration right now is looking at. And with this exciting news about the faculty welfare, I know that right now we have a lot of questions, but I want to start with something that Kara was asking about. I know Lisa shared at the beginning a document, really relevant document that has all the briefing about how benefits, the hours, the hour rate and everything. Where can we find that information? If you can share with us, either you or Cecile, if you can show us where to get that information from Ultipro.
So you would just need to contact your administrative assistant or department chair and say, can I get a copy of my payroll calculation? They will email it to you and you can have it each quarter. And you can ask for it with your agreement. It's not a problem. So, but if you can get it, you can get it today.
Perfect. Lisa, thank you so much. And as you know, I put in the chat already Cecile's email with her information and also Lisa's information. So if in case that you need to contact them for something specific. Now I'm going to open to questions. You can actually type them, but I don't know if I see any raising hand, if anyone has any question. Okay, Barbara wants to go.
Kara asked a question about retention and graduation rates. Our overall retention rate is 72.8%. At the AA degree level, it's 70.8%. And at the bachelor's level, 84.3%. Our graduation rates overall are 72%. At the AA level, it's 63.1%. At the bachelor's level, it's 87.8%. Those of you that follow graduation and retention statistics, we are so proud of these. And thank you to each and every one of you for working with students to get them through the program. The definition, how it's measured is obviously if a student does exactly what they're supposed to do and goes through either the AA or the bachelor's in the 6 quarters that we recommend, that's 100% of the time, but in figuring these rates, they're allowed 150% of the time. So that means at the end of 9 quarters that these are the graduation and retention rates. We have, when you look at the community colleges that have graduation rates of 12 and 13%, I mean, we are so far and above that. The students we have stay and graduate. Our challenge is to get more of them.
Great, thank you. And I know that Luis has a question about strategic planning committee codes, and I think that that's being answered already. So if not, maybe if you have any specific question with a specific code, you can actually text or send an email to Lisa. I know Ben has a question. Ben,
I have
Benedict.
a question.
Yes.
So Lisa or Barbara, if we are paid bi-weekly, why is the winter spring contract being divided by 14 pay dates?
Okay, I can explain that. Okay, so we, it was brought to us by faculty a concern about our spring quarter and our fall quarter ending on the last day of class? And could that be changed in order to allow for activities, class, grading and things like that that would take place that would be included in that? So what we proposed is to shift the payroll periods. So it would be those would be shifted down. So in June, the quarter doesn't end until July. And in December, the quarter doesn't end until the very end of December instead of on December 18th. So that was brought to the faculty council. The faculty council approved it, or I don't know if they went to other faculty, but it was approved. And then we went forward with it for 2022.
Thank you,
But
Lisa.
that has an adverse effect on full-time faculty.
Well, it affects all faculty. It doesn't just affect full-time faculty, Ben, but I think your concern is about the 2 weeks pay, so that you're not losing that pay. It's the last week of December is when you're being paid for that time that was shifted. So in order to get onto the new payroll cycle, we had to shift the quarter and begin it in January and end in December. Traditionally, we've always started the quarter in the end of December, like around December 18th, and then we've gone through December 18th in the next year. So our proposal was to start in January and end at the very end of December. So that's what the new payroll cycle will look like.
Okay, but hold on a second.
Okay.
When does this week get caught up? Because
At the
if
end
you
of
are
December.
pushing-
At the end of
Okay,
December.
let me finish.
Because
Let
the
me
end of
finish.
the end of December was always in the new agreement for January. That is where, so now it goes through to the end of December is your agreement. And the new agreement doesn't start until January. So that's where the catch up is at the end of December.
So that means in the winter spring contract of 2023, it should be over 12 pay periods, not 13.
No, because you're going from January through the end of December. We have a brand new, and I can show you the payroll schedule. I can send it to you. It will be 6, 7. Huh?
I have the payroll schedule.
No, for 2023. I'm happy to show it to you.
That sounds good, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing
But
that
Lisa,
information.
this does not make sense because you are taking the winter spring contract and you're spreading it out over 14 instead of 13.
Well,
So that means the summer fall should be split over 12.
Okay, Ben, I would say, please come in and see me. And I think it's easier to do it in person and then over Zoom.
I think that sounds good. So then the two of you can get connected. And if someone else has the same question, already Lisa is open to take it offline. Now I want to move forward because I know Cara has a question, then I'm going to Andre and then Ophelia. So that's going to be our order. Cara, Andre, and then Ophelia.
Yeah, just to follow up, when those are great numbers, Barbara, they're amazing, especially given COVID. You mentioned that there was a percentage increase, and what was that? What year was that percentage increase from, and what was that percentage? If you have those numbers, if you don't, we can get them later. That would be fine.
Percentage increase in retention and graduation?
Yes.
You know what? I don't have those numbers with me, but I will get those to you if I may.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I mean, honestly, I think our graduation rates are a super powerful marketing tool, and I'd really like to get some granular details on that if that's possible.
Of course it is. And what is available to everyone is what we call Faces of FITM, which is our annual demographic study. It breaks down graduation, retention, student demographic information by major, by ethnic code, any way you want it. And that was sent to Joni. And Joni, is that in, have you posted it?
That's something I was going to share that in our next meeting, and
okay, great,
because people tend to see that more when we're all together.
Great.
So I have all those documents ready for our next meeting.
And we will post, and it is posted for everyone, and we'll get that information out to you where you can find it.
Thank you, Barbara. Now I'm going and moving forward to Andre, because I know all of us have like a lot of questions. So I want to be really respectful and try to get as much as we can.
Oh, thank you, Isabel. And yeah, I'll be real brief. So Barbara, my understanding is you're saying that we still have to pay for that San Diego space, correct? Could we consider using that space to do something in it, since we're paying for it, like doing a FITM reality show where we can use that to generate interest with our young people, maybe a sneakerheads meets streetwear designers, and use that space to shoot something there?
The space needs work. Yeah, can we do it? Of course, anything's possible. Right now, we don't have the additional dollars to do anything like that. And, you know, would love to do something like that, but would prefer to do it on the LA campus, which is much more vibrant and exciting. So it's a sad thing to say, but the San Diego campus is sitting there. We have removed a lot of the equipment that could be used in other places. Our real estate agent continues to try and sublease the space, but I don't need to tell everybody there's a glut of space available right now. But thank you for this suggestion. If you have somebody who has money who's looking for space, we would love to do a reality show or anything else.
Thank you, Barbara.
Sorry, and the last little part too, as far as what you're recognizing for faculty, some faculty members are authors of their own authored books. Is that going to be included in their overall assessment of value? You talked about degrees and experience. Does that also include if they're published authors?
Involvement, most definitely, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving forward with Ophelia, and then I'm going to read some questions in the chat. Go, Ophelia.
Okay, yeah, my chat is not working for some reason. So Lisa, thank you for explaining that. I still have a question in regards to holidays, how we get paid for holidays as a non-exempt faculty. I know you explained it before, but I'm still a little confused. So I know that, like, for instance, on Mondays, there's 10 sessions and there's a holiday. So we still teach 10 sessions. Do we get paid for all holidays if you are non-exempt?
Okay.
And then the second question,
Okay.
it's two questions related to this. And then the second question is, do independent studies a rare thing that I've never done before? Do we teach when we teach independent study class, do we accumulate sick pay for that? That's another question for you.
Okay, so holidays. Okay, so basically, if you look at that pay calculation, right, that sheet, you are paid for 10.6 sessions every quarter. So if you teach 9, if you teach 10, if you teach 11, you're paid for 10.6. So regardless of holidays or regardless of the number of sessions, that's what you are, that's the number of sessions you are compensated for every quarter.
Also for non-exempt.
Correct. Everybody is the same.
Okay, thank you.
And then your second question. So independent study, when you put in your hours to be paid for the independent study, those hours are calculated. Anything you enter, a lab, teaching, coming to meetings, independent study, all of that is added to your sick, 1 hour for 30, as long as you don't go over the 72 hours.
Okay, one last question. Barbara, when we get to the 2150, which I very hopeful we're going to get to that number really soon, and there's going to be a faculty increase possibly, do you think we'll ever get paid for attending town hall meetings or no?
Not at the present time.
No, I mean in the near future, maybe.
You know, that it's an interesting question. I don't have an answer for that. We look at town hall as just being much more of an information session, and they're always recorded, so you can listen to them when you're driving or whatever.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
Sure.
Thank you, Feli. I know Gail had a question regarding how competitive we are. So I don't know, Gail, if you want to address this directly, asking your question. Scale here. So why, no.
Gail,
You're muted. Turn off your mute.
Okay.
I think it would be
There you
very
go.
interesting and helpful, if it's at all possible, for us to know how we stand in retention, in graduation rates to our direct competitors, meaning Parsons, FIT, what's the name of the one in Georgia? You know, all the, yes, SCAD, and maybe even RISD. I don't know. Maybe we don't need that many. Maybe 4 or 5 of our key competitors in the same kind of curriculum that we offer, that they offer. I think it would be a great asset for all faculty to know that, because if it, you know, and see, one, it'll create ideas and innovative thought. And it's something that we can be very proud of and maybe kick up our marketing about it.
Gail, excellent point. I'm just making my notes, and I will get that information out to everybody, but I think it's a very good marketing tool. What I can say, I don't have the specifics, but that we are way up there with everybody, and we're very, very proud of it. And, you know, and the other side of the coin also is that their enrollments are way off also.
I know. I just thought, knowing those kind of things, and the last time I did know them, we were really outstanding compared to our competitors. So I'm hoping that we still are.
We are, Gail.
Use this, as I was pretty sure when I asked the question we were, I just didn't know. But I think us all knowing and having that's a really important part of the transparency that makes us even stronger. And also for faculty to be very, very proud that they're a part of that, and it's a very motivational tool internally as well as externally. I think it would be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
This was great.
I know I have here another question. This is for pay meetings like this one, professional development. So all of you know that for being here and taking the time to attend to this type of training, you get compensated. However, someone is asking if they can still get compensated if they're just watching the recording after. So I don't know if Barbara or Lisa want to take this question.
No, it's the attendance at the event.
Perfect. And then now is we're past already the time that we have for our professional development space. But I want to thank everyone for being part of this. I want to thank Alisa, Barbara. I want to thank Cecile and then Mona, and all of you for being part of this important moment. As we all know, this is critical. We all need to come together to find solutions to make this happen. And this is not going to be we're not going to leave here the conversation. This is going to be the first of many other spaces that we are going to open to be transparent and then to share what is our current situation and how we can improve our situation with our great staff and our great institution. I know all of you, and including me, we care about our students. We want to keep up how we're doing things. We want to value the time of your expertise, that things are really fair. And then please remember to rewatch the recording. We're going to be sharing this recording with the presentation. And you know, you can actually send all your questions to Lisa, to Cecile, or Barbara, that they are always open to share with you and answer specific questions if you have anything. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then have a great day, rest of the day. Yes.
Have a good weekend.
Awesome.
Isabel, Blaine, thank you for putting this together. It was wonderful being with you. And please know you can ask any of us anything at any time.
Thank you, Barbara. I think
enjoy your weekend.
We appreciate. Yes. Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys. Bye.